Ladies and gentlemen, we will begin in 5 minutes. Please take this time to find your seats. Thank you. Right after she done it.
She has to go right away, but she'd agreed to do that, but we need them to line up over here. Your left, their right.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon and aloha. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this afternoon's FCA Hawaii and International TechNet Indo-Pacific keynote presentation. I am Captain Tracy Tran from U.S. Army Military Intelligence Branch, and it's my pleasure to be your MC for today's event. As a courtesy to our guests and fellow professionals, we request that you silence all personal communication devices at this time. We are fortunate today to have in the audience tomorrow's leaders and their cadre who are now part of the junior ROTC programs from across the great state of Hawaii. We would like to take a moment to recognize them. Cadres, if you would please stand and be recognized as I mention your school. McKinley High School, Nanakuli High School, Waianae High School, Farrington High School, Kalaheo High School. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to present Lieutenant General Laura Lenderman, Deputy Commander, Pacific Air Forces. General Lenderman's dedication to service and remarkable accomplishments have profoundly shaped the United States Air Force. She continues to earn the respect of the airmen under her command and the esteem of her colleagues, contributing immeasurably to our nation's defense. Her full biography is available on the FCA TechNet app 2024 for those interested in learning more about her distinguished career. Please join me in this warm welcome to Lieutenant General Laura Lenderman, Deputy Commander, Pacific Air Force.
Well, aloha and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. So on behalf of my boss, General Schneider, and the men and women of the Pacific Air Forces, it is such an honor to be here with all of you today. It is such an exciting time to not only be here in Hawaii, but to also have the opportunity to gather and discuss how industry solutions can help Indo-PACOM and the Pacific Air Forces deliver on our nation's promises. Now, more than ever, today's strategic environment requires us to think differently about the challenges that we face. The time for thinkers has come. And it's our collective thought leaders in industry, military, government, and academia, representing cyber, comm, ISR, information technology, and command and control lines of effort that will make all of the difference. So first, a very special thank you to Mr. Palmieri and the entire AFCEA Hawaii community for creating this opportunity for us to come together to collaborate this week. And a sincere congratulations to AFCEA Hawaii for its continued growth in membership and leadership. I think Mr. Palmieri and the team are very modest, and they're not going to tell you this, but they have earned a Membership Growth Award and a Model Chapter Award for the past 10 years. And another special congratulations to Mr. Palmieri personally for recently being recognized as an AFCEA Leadership Award winner. Congratulations. So across the board, you'll see that this is a true testament to the talent, dedication, professionalism, and teamwork that this chapter represents here in Hawaii. So I would be remiss, though, if I didn't also thank AFCEA Hawaii for all you do to support Hawaii-based students, teachers, and service members. This chapter has raised over $200,000 in grants and scholarships for local high school students in STEM programs. And the chapter also offers countless opportunities for our junior enlisted airmen and officers to grow through their Emerging Leaders program, which also provides them an opportunity to give back to the community in a meaningful way through mentorship and volunteering. So over the course of my career, I've been blessed to see firsthand the powerful impact that AFCEA chapters have across our country. From my time at Scott Air Force Base and later Joint Base San Antonio, I've watched this organization not only look to advance technology, but also understand how important it is to develop innovative leaders and close connections across the military, industry, and academia. AFCEA, you demonstrate every day how collaboration fosters creativity and innovation, leading to new ideas and new perspectives. And that's a lesson that I've learned throughout my military career. We truly are stronger together. And that's especially true here in Hawaii, which is not only strategically important in terms of its geography, but also as home to the headquarters of Indo-PACOM, the oldest combatant command in the Department of Defense, and its 6 component commands. It's a unique opportunity for the combatant command and all of the components to be located in the same state and basically in the same city. And we are taking full advantage of our proximity to each other to develop those trusting relationships across the services and ensure that we work closely together to get after the challenging threats in this AOR. And we are not short on challenging threats. We are truly living in a time of consequence. And now, more than ever, we need to bring our collective strengths and capabilities to bear against the complex challenges that we face in the Indo-Pacific theater. And as we look around the region, we see the rapid rise of revisionist autocracies seeking to disrupt the status quo. North Korea remains a credible and aggressive threat, which continues to increase its arsenal of ballistic and cruise missiles. We've also witnessed the rise of Russia, which not only continues to conduct an illegal war against Ukraine, but also attempts to demonstrate its ability to fight a two-front war through execution of long-range bomber missions, which violate US and Japanese airspace. But it's the People's Republic of China, where we've seen the most aggressive behavior, with the exponential growth and advancement of the PRC's military arsenal, coupled with their illegal, coercive, aggressive, and deceptive activities that manipulate and disrupt this region. We've also seen the relationship between the PRC, Russia, and North Korea converge in concerning ways. Most recently, we've seen an increase in the number of PRC and Russian long-range bomber patrols that have violated the Alaskan airspace. However, we do take some solace knowing that these relationships are purely transactional. They're ones of convenience, and some might say necessity. They're not based on the deep trust and the commitment of our allies and partners in the region and globally. So while the threats posed by the PRC and Russia and North Korea are challenging, make no mistake, we have been here before. We need only look to World War II, where other expansionist and nationalist ideologies drew us into a complex war for their survival in the Pacific. And while much has changed over the last 80 years since the end of World War II, the collective ingenuity and resolve of industry and servicemen and women working together to solve these problems has stood the test of time. So if I could, I'd like to take you on a brief look back at some of the groundbreaking heroes and thought leaders who helped pave the way for how we are preparing to address the challenges and threats in our theater today. So please travel back with me 80 years to Brisbane, Australia, to the activation of the Far East Air Forces on August 3rd, 1944. It was on this date that Lieutenant General George Kenney, affectionately known as General MacArthur's Airman, took command and ultimately changed the way air power was delivered in the Pacific. As he stood up the Far East Air Forces, General Kenney is credited with developing innovative command structures, weapons, and tactics that reflected his orientation toward attack aviation. He modified bombers with machine guns and a cannon to attack enemy supply ships at sea. And during the Battle of the Bismarck Sea, he planned and directed the attack of B-17 bombers by skip bombing, which with the aid of Australian airmen sank 16 Japanese vessels. He also faced and overcame many of the same contested logistics challenges that we're working through today. his approach to maintenance and supply systems was particularly innovative, and his advocacy of aerial resupply missions was critical to the success of MacArthur's strategy. General Kenny once said, "We are doing things nearly every day that were never in the books. It really is remarkable what you can do with an airplane if you really try. We carry troops to war, we feed them, we supply them with ammunition, artillery, clothes, shoes, and evacuate their wounded." So while General Kenny addressed significant tactical and logistical challenges in the Pacific, other leaders were charged with developing innovative solutions to ensure resilient communications, a subject near and dear to the members of this audience. And while this next story pains me a little bit to share because it's a story about a soldier versus an airman, I have to give credit where credit is due, and that's to U.S. Army Major General Spencer Aiken. General Aiken was the Chief Signal Officer for Southwest Pacific areas, and General MacArthur could not have had a more mobile-minded signal communications officer whose focus on resilient and agile comms helped pave the way for expeditionary communications today. Aiken experimented with truck and trailer-mounted switchboards, teletypewriters, and message centers. He also fitted a rail car with communications equipment, including a 400-watt transmitter to provide service wherever General MacArthur might travel. And when amphibious communications became necessary, General Aiken outfitted a signal corps fleet, a flotilla of small vessels equipped with radio communications. And while my boss, General Snyder, has not proposed a floating air operations center quite yet, he too is focused on agile comms and distributed command and control, and he's pushing our C2 and battle management capabilities further forward into the theater. In addition to Resilient C2, General Snyder's also focused on ensuring our posture across the theater remains agile and resilient by building out runways at historic World War II airfields on Guam, Saipan, and Tinian. Tinian, in particular, played a significant role in the air war in the Pacific during World War II. Because it had longer range and could carry bigger payloads, the B-29 often flew out of Tinian in support of long-range attack missions over the vast stretches of the Pacific Ocean. One B-29 mission in particular, however, highlights not only the resiliency of our posture in the theater, but also the incredible resiliency and bravery of one of our airmen. Master Sergeant Henry Red Irwin served as a radio operator in a B-29, and on his 11th mission on April 12, 1945, he was tasked to drop a 20-pound phosphorus signal flare to provide visual references for other planes in his formation. The first flare, however, did not exit the aircraft, and it quickly began filling the plane with smoke. In an attempt to save the crew and find a window to throw the flare out of the plane, Master Sergeant Irwin was badly burned over much of his body. And while Master Sergeant Irwin survived the incident, he was hospitalized for 30 months and ultimately was awarded the Medal of Honor for his heroic actions by General Curtis LeMay himself. So as World War II drew to a close a few short months later, and the Air Force stood up as a separate service on September 18, 1947, Air Force leaders began the arduous task of organizing, training, and equipping for the post-World War II era. And unfortunately, much like today, the Air Force leaders back then did not have the luxury of time, as fighting on the Korean Peninsula broke out just a few years later. And it's against this backdrop of Korea that I'd like to highlight perhaps a lesser-known airman who played an important role in not only our preparedness for conflict in Korea, but also in our ability to provide intelligence support to the Joint Force in the Pacific today. So post-World War II Air Force leaders understood that an effective cryptologic capability would be crucial for maintaining and enhancing the Air Force as a decisive component of America's national defense. And in October 1948, then Colonel Roy Lynn, an experienced communications and intelligence officer, assumed command of the newly established Air Force Security Service. And as tensions rose between North and South Korea and spilled over into war, the demands for secure communications and cryptological support skyrocketed. The mission of the Security Service was to provide radio intelligence and ComSec support to commanders in the field. And in June 1951, the largest U.S. air victory in the Korean War to that date, was facilitated by tactical data from the Security Service Detachment, leading to a U.S. air victory when F-86s from Incheon shot down 11 enemy airplanes. And under the command of Colonel Lin, the Air Force Security Service provided cryptologic communications and intel that were critical to success in a post-World War II era. And the legacy of the Air Force Security Service still exists today within Air Force's Cyber and 16th Air Force at Joint Base San Antonio, whose mission is to provide that critical ISR, cyber, electromagnetic warfare, and information operations capabilities which underpin every mission set in the theater today. But it wasn't long after the Korean conflict and armistice took effect that the U.S. found itself embroiled in another challenging conflict in the Pacific. It was during the conflict in Vietnam that yet another communications airman not only demonstrated incredible bravery, but also highlighted the importance of another challenge that we face in the Pacific involving resilient base defense capabilities. Chief Master Sergeant Richard Etchberger was a radar and communications technician manning a radar station at Lima Site 85 in Laos when his base was overrun by an enemy ground force. Despite having received little combat training, Chief Etchberger single-handedly held off the enemy with an M16 while simultaneously directing airstrikes and calling for air rescue. Unfortunately, the Battle of Lima Site 85 resulted in the largest single ground combat loss of the U.S. Air Force during the Vietnam War. Most of the technicians on the mountaintop were killed, including Chief Master Sergeant Etchberger. Because of his fierce defenses and heroic actions, he was able to maintain his position and save the lives of many of the crew before he was killed. Chief Etchberger's heroism and self-sacrifice remain an enduring symbol of gallantry that we still honor in our Airman Leadership School today. His story isn't just about courage, though. His story taught us valuable lessons. It highlighted the need for combat training for our support personnel, better base defenses, and stronger personnel rescue support. And those insights laid the foundation for our mission-ready airman mindset today. And it shaped how we train small, agile teams under agile combat employment, preparing for the austere environments that we plan to fight in the future. So as the Vietnam War closed, the need for an expeditionary mindset would remain, even as the U.S. settled into a long Cold War with the Soviet Union. And this is where our story shifts to Major John Maluda and the professionals teaching our communications airmen at Keesler Air Force Base. A key figure who helped usher in the breakout of the cyber domain and the transformation of the communications field, General Maluda recognized the importance of preserving skills from World War II through Vietnam because he predicted a time would come when we'd be in places where that type of mindset and skill set would be needed. General Maluda's 4 years of service in the White House Communications Agency profoundly shaped his views on command and control, particularly regarding the need for connectivity and redundant communication methods to support commanders. Like General Aiken before him, General Maluda recognized the immeasurable advantage this provided leaders on the battlefield. His experience as the A6 at 3 different major commands enabled him to advocate for much-needed change. Later, in his role as the Director of Cyberspace Transformation and Strategy, his contributions were critical in shaping the training of today's communications professionals. This forward-thinking mindset may have also influenced recent decisions to reintroduce warrant officers to the Air Force this year, specifically cyber and IT professionals. Phased out in 1958, the Warrant Officer Program will graduate its first class of 30 candidates this December, marking a return after 66 years. Major General Maluda stands as a living legacy, a leader who continues to elevate the profession, building upon the foundation laid by giants who came before him. And if I could, General Maluda is here in the audience, if you could stand up and we'll give you some well-deserved recognition. So this look back at several groundbreaking actions and heroes in our midst, and thought leaders of the past 80 years reminds us that while technology has advanced, we have been here before. Today, we continue to face many of the same challenges that General Kinney, General Aiken, Master Sergeant Irwin, General Lynn, Chief Etchberger, and General Maluta faced. And like them, we will continue to work together to field distributed C2 capabilities while posturing the theater and preparing for the challenges of contested logistics. We'll work through the requirements for exquisite munitions and airlift and air refueling at scope and scale. And we'll work through the challenges of contested communications in an anti-access area denial environment. We're taking concepts like agile combat employment, force distribution, asset pre-positioning, and large-scale complex exercises to address those challenges, just like General Kinney, but in ways that aren't in any books yet because we're writing the book as we go. Our team is advancing the priorities for PACAF set by Admiral Paparo in collaboration with our fellow combatant commanders. We're finding ways to combine our efforts, working together to be more effective and more efficient with the resources that we have. But time is not on our side when it comes to offensive and defensive operations, logistics, sustainment, command and control, or battle management. We no longer have the luxury of long-term development for perfect solutions. Instead, we must innovate quickly, but sustainably. With rapid advancements in cyber warfare, drones, and AI-driven systems, communication is now instantaneous and global, enabling real-time data sharing and coordination across distances. It is absolutely crucial that we continue to seize opportunities for collaboration and inclusion to stay ahead. So how are we accomplishing these things today? We're leveraging what General Schneider has pointed out as our 3 asymmetric advantages. These advantages are the growing network of allies and partnerships, the professionalism and discipline of our people, and the inherent strength of the joint force. And when we look to our allies and partners in the region, there is a clear-eyed recognition of the dangers posed by the PRC, Russia, and North Korea. The awareness has fueled increased collaboration, enabling us to expand access, basing, and overflight. The strength of our joint force, combined with this heightened engagement, has sharpened the blade of our collective warfighting readiness. And as we face these complex challenges, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General C.Q. Brown, emphasized the importance of deepening the cooperation with our allies. He noted, due to the complex security environment, we need to redouble our efforts today to collaborate and cooperate with allies and partners. We must start at the beginning with the end in mind. We need to be integrated by design. This approach acknowledges the necessity of building an enduring framework that integrates our collective capabilities from the outset. And in PACAF, we're working hard to keep this mindset at the forefront in everything we do. We're moving beyond bilats into multilateral events to be able to pull more and more partners in and create greater opportunities for integration. We're finding ways to create training and exercise opportunities that build experience and knowledge for airmen across multiple nations, evolving from interoperability into full interchangeability. For example, in this photo, airmen from the Royal Australian Air Force and the U.S. Air Force are building a munition this past August. This is to be loaded onto a U.S. Air Force aircraft. The important piece of this image is that you can take either nation out of the shot, and that munition can still be loaded and hit bombs. We're able to do things together, not only as a joint force, but as a true partnership with allies. And this is taking place all over the region, and pictures like this play out every single day. So when we look at our second asymmetric advantage, our people, it's our airmen who make the difference. They are the ones staying ahead of the challenge, the ones who are innovating at every turn. We put a lot of trust in our junior officers and non-commissioned officers to understand the threats, to take the necessary risk, and to get the mission done. So moving from left to right, we've got airmen and NCOs from the 85th Engineering and Installation Squadron out of Keesler Air Force Base evaluating network infrastructure for Guam and Tinian and conducting radio frequency spectrum analysis for the Guam Defense System. In the next picture, Staff Sergeant Lance Ringer teamed up with 6 comm units across the base to develop cyber war game events simulating adversary tactics. He's training cyber operators on how to defend against threats to the network, ensuring that they're ready and prepared should they face a cyber attack. Another example is Captain Caitlin Carden. She created PACAF's first system and process that allowed 5-eye accessibility to the AOC Falconer weapon system. This is a huge deal. The Falconer system is a no-foreign system, and for the first time, we're fully integrating our British and Australian allies into our Air and Space Operations Center. And finally, Staff Sergeant Lam Tay. She's improving cyber hygiene and the communications security posture across the AOR to help safeguard the network. I give you these examples to show you the trust that we have in our young NCOs and junior officers, something our adversaries just don't understand. And as my former commander, General Mike Minahan, used to say, airmen truly are the magic. They make the mission happen. Which brings us to our third advantage, which is the strength of the Joint Force. The development and experimentation of Joint Fires Network, a prototype battle management system, is a tremendous example of just how powerful and innovative the Joint Force is in this theater. During the Navy-led Valiant Shield exercise this summer, networking capabilities enabled U.S. commanders operating from forward deployed and fixed operations centers to conduct a run-through of JFN, as well as test the Air Force's Agile Combat Employment concept through the Mobile Ad Hoc Network Cloud High Mobility Radio, or MC Hammer. In this image, we took a page out of General Aiken and General Maluta's Expeditionary Comms book, where Staff Sergeant Chris Barrage is receiving feeds in Guam from the AOC in Hawaii. Valiant Shield commanders at both fixed and deployed locations, as well as individual units at the edge, were able to track bombers and fighters in the air, personnel on the ground, and ships at sea. Another prime example of how we integrated recently is at PACAF's Pacific Integrated Air and Missile Defense Center, or PIC, in support of Exercise Bala-Catan in the Philippines this year. With support from the U.S. Marine Corps, U.S. Air Force, U.S. Army, and the Philippine Air Force, the PIC facilitated an inaugural multilateral and joint service subject matter expert exchange to teach integrated air and missile defense and find ways to seamlessly integrate the Joint Force with allies and to enable freedom of maneuver and power projection. These events not only highlight the strength of our Joint Force, but they also show how our allies and partners are increasingly collaborating and learning from each other and the U.S. So when I think about these three asymmetric advantages, it's not hard to see why concepts like agile combat employment and bomber task force deployments are employed in the Pacific today. Like our forefathers, we're establishing operating capabilities at World War II airfields in the Second Island chain. We're launching bomber missions out of Guam, Australia, and Diego Garcia. We're exercising from austere as well as fixed base locations throughout the region, and we're doing it with our Joint Force and allies and partners, and often under the leadership of junior officers and NCOs. And many of these concepts will come together under one large exercise next summer, here in the Pacific. Resolute Force Pacific, or REFORPAC, is a full-scale, large force exercise similar to the old days of Reforger. This exercise will embrace Indo-PACOM's campaign plans, Air Mobility Command's Mobility Guardian, Air Combat Command's Bamboo Eagle series, and numerous other exercises across the Pacific to integrate sister services, allies, and partner nations. The goal is to integrate and experiment with logistics, sustainment, and enabling capabilities to bring fifth-gen fighters, command and control aircraft, and airlift and air refueling into the Western Pacific at speed and scale. With approximately 25 operating locations, almost 300 aircraft, and sister services and partner nations involved, we're conducting multiple simultaneous ACE operations, and it's an opportunity to refine our capabilities, strengthen our partnerships, test and stress ACE, and shift interoperability into interchangeability. But we can't do it alone. What we ask of you is to bring your best ideas, bring your concepts, bring your newest technologies. Bring your ready kits to the Indo-Pacific Theater at a level ready for experimentation. Help us challenge our status quo. Help us stress agile combat employment and our ability to command and control and execute contested logistics, and our ability to perform dynamic force movements throughout the theater. The time is now, because there is no time to waste. We won't get everything perfect, but we will learn and we will continually improve. And we have been here before, and like the heroes and thought leaders of the past, we will bring those hard lessons learned and our collective strengths to bear on the challenges that we face today and tomorrow in order to deter, fight, and prevail in the Pacific. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think maybe another round of applause for General Lenderman. What a great opportunity. She reminds us that we have history to learn from. We have heroes to aspire to be like and learn lessons from. We need to know our challenges in the AOR that we face and the opportunities, especially for the folks in the audience, to participate in solving those hard challenges. So General Lenderman, on behalf of AFCEA International and AFCEA Hawaii, thank you very much for sharing your wisdom and knowledge and thoughts on these matters. AFCEA International and AFCEA Hawaii are going to make a donation to the Friends of Windward Wounded Warrior on your behalf. So really appreciate that. And on our behalf, a token of our appreciation. Thank you very much.
Beautiful coin. Thank you
And
so
a
much.
quick picture. Oh, we'll let you come on down.
Thank you, ma'am, for that awesome remarks right there. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to put out some few admins before we go. Tricidence is providing parking validation, so make sure you stop by their booths at 1534 to get your parking validations. And at 15:30, there will be an FCA networking reception on the exhibit floor. And for the JROTC students, we please ask that you stand up and move to my left, your right for the pictures and coins. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody else, for attending today's event.